Hello, everyone. I see people are filing in slowly but surely. I hope everyone's doing well. Welcome, everyone, to today's webinar. We're really excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's webinar is Unleashing AI for Robotics Exploring Robots, InOrbit RobOps Copilot. And we really appreciate everyone coming in. And it looks like we've got a quorum here, enough folks here. So let's get started. My name is Jeff. I'm with the marketing team at InOrbit. And again, thank you for coming. I know it is early for some of you folks out on the West Coast, especially here. But we are really thrilled to have you here. We're very excited to be showing off this exciting product, debuted at Automate back in May, and now just this week, generally available across our platform. I'm just going to be here for just a minute or two before I bring out our hosts and the panel for today, but I wanted to do some very quick housekeeping just so everyone is aware. Today's webinar will of course be 45 minutes long. We will be recording this webinar as well. So if you or any of your colleagues were unable to join us, sorry, if any of your colleagues are unable to join us, or you think of anyone after the fact who might be interested in this content, we'll be sending out a VOD and in the next few days, and you're welcome to obviously share it with anyone you like. We want to get the word out about RobOps Copilot. We're really excited and very proud of it. Finally, we will be taking questions at the end, time permitting, of course, but I anticipate that we should have time. If you do have a question, please type it into the go-to chat, and I'll circle back in the last 5 to 10 minutes of the webinar and bring it to our team. But of course, if we don't get to your question, we'll certainly follow up with anyone here. So with that, let's stop this. Really quickly, in case you landed here somewhere and were not aware of who InOrbit is, I'm just going to give you the quick nutshell version because we'll have a bit of a deeper explanation here. But we have a secure cloud-based data platform for robot operations, or RobOps, as we call it. We help robot developers and end users observe, operate, and optimize their robot fleets as they scale. And our goal is really to help everyone maximize the potential of their robots. So I'm going to leave the detailed explanations up to our host. I think that's all I have in terms of housekeeping. I think with that, I would love to bring up your host for today. Co-founder Florian Pestone, InOrbit VP of Technology Operations John Simmons, and InOrbit's CEO Diaz Trepat. Gentlemen.
All right, so I think at least on my end, Jeff turned into a bit of a robot at the end. That's on brand.
Oh no.
Hello everyone. Glad to have you all here. I'm going to go through a quick intro to InOrbit for people who are new to the company, and then we're going to get into a live demo. I'm calling today from the robot space in Silicon Valley. This is where we have a lot of our ecosystem partners bring their equipment, so you'll see it in action in a little bit. So as Jeff mentioned, we're talk about this concept of RobOps, or robot operations at scale. And the idea is to help people maximize the potential of every robot and deal with the complexities of operating robots in the real world, which can be pretty messy. So starting with this, I think everyone has heard about AI lately as well. If you're here, you probably care about robotics. So I think we can all agree that these are trends that are changing how we work. And what we need is a platform like InOrbit to handle the operational aspects. And our focus is to make the robots themselves work better, but also for an end user that wants to scale their operations, you want to make the robots work better together. So we'll go into more details about all of that. A little bit about kind of where we are in robotics, and I like to make the comparison to the evolution of computing from mainframes, where you had few and expensive, and you had, software came for free essentially, to smartphones where it's all about the apps. Something similar going from industrial robots, traditional robots that only car manufacturers, for example, with high volume production could handle, to now much more affordable and flexible robots. And the robots are getting smarter. So they can coexist with people, they can operate in environments where they couldn't before. And I think what that's doing is it's opening up possibilities for automation in industries that previously really struggled to automate. They could be mechanized, but not automated. So logistics is one example where we're seeing, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of robots being used in logistics. Of course, manufacturing, besides the production cells, have to bring goods from the warehouse and so on. And we're starting to see areas like healthcare, the logistics, for example, of running a hospital, or in agriculture, where you may have fully autonomous tractors, in retail, in hospitality. So I think it's a pretty exciting time. And what we believe is unique about this new generation of robots in these industries is this idea that you're operating in the physical world, but your control, the behavior is defined through software. And that's where concepts like RobOps that I mentioned at the beginning come in. So you may be familiar with the term DevOps, which is used in the cloud and combines development and operations, which previously were basically disconnected. And this is why we have, high-scale applications today. We're trying to bring that kind of thinking, that kind of methodology and tools to the world of robotics. So at InOrbit, we work both with the robot developers who tend to be more on this the robot side of things, as well as with end users who have to operate the robots in the real world. So over there, you saw the 4 O's. I want to go into a little bit more detail. It all starts with observability. You need to know what your robots are doing. So a platform like InOrbit allows you to collect data about every robot and make it actionable. Then you need to stay on top of robots. Robots are far from perfect, especially in unstructured environments. So you may need to intervene or collaborate with the robots. And then we get to orchestration, where we use the term to mean both combining different types of robots in the same space, as we'll see later today, as well as all the integration with physical infrastructure like IoT, cameras, and so on, with software, enterprise software infrastructure. All of this needs to work in harmony, and that's one of the 4 O's. And then we get to the O that we want to focus on today, which is this idea of optimization. So once you have observability, operation, you've solved orchestration, you're never actually done, right? You can always run your warehouse or your hospital or whatever it is more efficiently. You can always try to find a little bit more performance from your robots, and you'll probably be trying new use cases, trying new vendors. So this process isn't once and done. Now, not everyone gets to be at that point right away. What we see very often is companies start with maybe a single robot at a single site. They're running maybe a proof of concept. If that's successful, maybe they'll expand it to, if one robot worked, maybe 5 robots will do more work, more of the same work. So you may be expanding to a pilot or production. If it worked in one site and you're running sites maybe around the country or around the world, you'll want to expand. Soon enough, you're starting to look at different tasks, most likely from different vendors. And then within this multi-everything, you really, at the beginning, maybe you're just happy with coexistence, robots not running into each other. But then you want to, as you are optimizing, you want to get better coordination. And ultimately, there may be some cases where you need 2 different robots from different vendors actually working together to carry out a complete mission. And we'll see an example of that working today. We're going to talk about the RobOps Copilot. We're extremely excited about this and this product that we just launched. And I want to kind of help understand where InOrbit fits. These robots that we're talking about, they're autonomous robots, they use AI already, right? They have sensors, they do obstacle detection, path planning, so they use computer vision. All of these are AI-based techniques to, or machine learning to analyze the immediate space around the robot and operate autonomously. But they don't really know what else is happening, right? Each robot, it has, a local perception. So what InOrbit adds is that global view. We can see through data what every robot is doing. And now we're putting that data to work with the RobOps Copilot. So the concept is to use the Copilot to drive optimization through AI. And in this first release of Copilot, it will allow anyone really, an operator, regardless of their technical expertise, to access data that was captured, to answer questions. They can have conversations with their peers where this data comes into play directly into that conversation. So I think of it as more of a complement to the dashboards that operators can build on top of InOrbit. This gives them that kind of like real-time discussion capability. I mentioned at the very beginning a little bit about our ecosystem of partners. So we keep growing our ecosystem. We work with companies from around the world and both robot manufacturers as well as software vendors, equipment vendors, platforms. So one of our goals is to continue to expand this ecosystem. So if you're in the audience and you're trying to figure out how to participate, feel free to reach out. Jeff will have some contact information at the end. And then I'll finish by mentioning that we, in this, the robot space that I mentioned at the beginning, is actually a space that we open up to the community, primarily the robotic community. We have people visiting from overseas. We host events and conferences. We partner with organizations like Women in Robotics. So here's another opportunity to participate is you can attend one of our events and you can go to inorbit.ai/robotspace to learn more. All right, so let's get into a demo. And I know it's a little risky to do live demos, but that's kind of just how we roll. So let me go directly into InOrbit here. And this is with an account with a pretend customer called Brickmart. Think of them as a retailer with retail stores and distribution centers around the world. Sometimes what you need to know is just, at a high level, how are my sites doing? Or an operations director may need to drill down, for example, and see the state of the fleet, find out, maybe focus on the robots that need attention at a glance, understand what's happening. But let's pick a robot here, for example, and now I can drill down to that specific robot. And now I mentioned at the beginning, we get lots of data, so you have a way to present all the data, and this is fully configurable. So as an operations person, or even as a roboticist, you can configure this to give you data that you want in real time. And of course, with mobile robots, where they are is pretty important. So you can also go to and see them on a map. And here, what you're seeing is the robot space where I'm at right now. This image is being captured by one of our robots. We have different robots from different vendors on the same map. So here, for example, I can select a robot from Auto Motors, now part of Rockwell, and I'll get its perspective. What I can also do is, I mentioned IoT integration. So in this case, we have cameras here. And maybe just to show you that we are live, I'm gonna go say hi here. I'm at the top, all right? Yes, we're live. So when we try to explain to people how all of this works, most people don't get a chance to tour a warehouse. But we're going to try to give them that experience of something we've all done, which is purchase something online. So this is just a standard e-commerce website. I know it's close to lunch somewhere, so I'm going to go ahead and order some pasta. And again, I'm going to go through the standard checkout process, apply a coupon. The idea here is do something that really, we're all familiar with at this point. Pick a location. Let's see. All right, I got free shipping. Okay, so I'm going to place an order. This is something that, of course, happens many times per second at this point for some of the largest retailers. Now, a retailer will use a warehouse management system. We are warehouse management system agnostic, but here you can see that that order that was placed is now showing up as an order for outbound on this warehouse management system we're using. So what we do is we translate that into missions for robots. And in this case, you can see this little robot is moving towards you can see it moving live here on the map. You can again see the point of view from the robot. And now that robot, as you saw, is here in this location. The other robot is going to sleep. But this mission to order pasta actually requires the work of two robots or two systems working together. So here, what you'll see is also a live view from inside the grid of a goods-to-person system. And this is an ASRS, or automatic storage and retrieval system, from one of our ecosystem partners, InStock. And the way this system works is you have robots that can run both on the floor and on the ceiling of each of these levels. You can have a multi-level system. And then you'll see that there's a bin being passed from one robot to another. And again, I think in this small system, you have a handful of bins, but this can scale to hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of bins, depending on your size. So basically, the robot inside the grid will bring an item to the workstation that you can see over here. and you have an operator that will pick the item and confirm the pick. Now, normally you would do that with pull it out of the goods to person system and maybe put it on a put wall, and then that needs to be picked. So what we're doing here, which you'll see maybe from this angle, is the operator placed the item out, took the item from the grid and placed it on a pick assist robot. So that's how the order gets assembled. And when he's done, he can say, okay, I'm done with this. So this is essentially the pick assist will take the item to the back for, here, let me switch robots so you see it. It will take the order to the shipping area, which is usually in a different location within the warehouse. So the idea is here you're combining a virtual conveyor belt, a virtual put wall, with a goods to person system, and InOrbit is doing the orchestration. So this is just to show that we can actually handle pretty complex missions. Now let me change it over to Ram, who's going to walk us through how we can use Copilot to make sense out of all of this. Ram, it's your show now.
All right. Hello, everyone. Well, I am Ramiro Diastrepat. I run product here, and I think Florian has already gave you a great introduction. I just wanted to reiterate that what's the spirit for what we're doing with AI. It's basically we believe that we have to help our customers, which are robot developers and end users, to get the most out of every robot that they have. And we believe that our customers have a ton of data for the robot operations, because robots produce a ton of data, and that's the essential fuel for all AI things, either large language models or machine learning or or anything under the umbrella of AI, actually. So we decided to start creating AI-based products to leverage all this information for our customers. So the first product that we developed, it's basically a tool that will allow our customers to get to business insights quicker about what's going on with the robots, with a conversational UI that allows them to express their questions in natural language. Our tool can be used from corporate messaging systems like Slack, which is here being shared by me right now, or from within, as you will see later, from within InOrbit's control platform. So we are going to go into a dialogue now where John is going to act as my boss, and I will be Catherine, and I am the warehouse operator. And together, we will be working to understand an issue or what's going on with a problem, leveraging our RobOps Copilot. All right. All right. So my boss is asking me about an order. And why are our orders taking so long? So I will invoke now RobOps Copilot as a third person in the chat and I will ask him. how many failed missions were there in the last 15 days. So there's that, and I get a number, 1,805, which seems to be quite large. I am here being a bit rude, but to show that everyone in a chat, we can engage with RobOps Copilot in a multi-user fashion. So everyone can ask in the same thread, and it will keep the context of the conversation. All right, so we are getting to a much smaller number. Now that John has narrowed the queries only to picking missions, which you can see in natural language, we are expressing like a specific kind of mission. And we are also limiting to the missions that were executed at a specific place. I don't remember very well which robots were actually in the robot space 285. So I will continue my investigation. I get the list of robots. All right, these are all the robots that we have. And now I will ask about the average duration for the successful missions of Robot Pickle 2 in the last 2 weeks to have a better grasp of what's going on. Right. So it's about 4 minutes on the average time, but I want to know if there are outliers. How much did I take?
So Ram, just here, you don't have to repeat everything, right? So in that case, you just said, how about the maximum duration? It's still referring to the context of the previous part of the conversation, right?
Correct, correct. One of the great things about the conversational aspect of RobOps Copilot is that it keeps the history of what you're talking about in a way that you can refer to your previous questions as you start refining the concepts that you want to get into. So we know that. The maximum duration was 14 minutes then.
So I'm curious, you switch from failed missions to successful missions now. What are you thinking?
Yeah. All right, let's ask about it. Okay, 1 second. Problem doesn't seem to be in a failed mission.
You mentioned something about outliers, right?
Yeah.
I
see there. So as you can see, we can get tables in the messaging system, but it's not very convenient to see, and it's also not really powerful, or not as powerful as all the tools that you get inside InOrbit Control. So I will show you now one of the key features of our platform, which is...
Sorry, you did get some insights here, right? Which is, you could see if the average was 4 minutes, there's a lot of much longer meetings or missions, right?
Yeah, there are some missions which took significantly longer, the ones on top. Basically.
Got it.
All right, so I will continue with the conversation now in InOrbit in control. So when you click in that link, it takes me automatically to InOrbit control. And here I can see the table we were just looking at. Not only that, I can see actually our whole history of conversation. Everything in our session was seamlessly moved to the context of InOrbit control. Right, I realized that I would like to know now the label of this mission, which I don't have. So I will ask for it in the fashion that Florian was just mentioning. Like I can say, add a column with a mission label to this report, obviously. I don't need to specify any further thing, and it will inherit all the context from what we were talking about in Slack, but now here in control.
And do you have to start in Slack, or could you just start here if it wasn't prompted by your pointy haired boss getting on your case about the orders? Is this always available to you, or only through Slack?
It's always available to me. It's always, you get the Orbito avatar here, and you can always come and ask questions while you are in InOrbit control. So now I will look for one specific mission that I think it could be problematic. And I will go to the time capsule, which is a nifty feature of InOrbit that allows you to replay everything that a robot has seen in a specific time interval. So I can investigate what was wrong or what happened with this mission, right? So I see, I can play what the robot was seeing, and I can look at the heat map actually of the path that the robot took, and I realized that the robot stopped in 2 different places for a long time. So I can play again and try to see what was actually happening. I can go to the robot log and see everything. All the events that were associated with this mission. At this point, you can see that the robot had to go and wait to pick the items, 2 different items in 2 different locations. So I will want to know from this mission, I will copy the mission ID, and I will ask about all the items that were being picked up by this robot in this mission. All right, and I can see from the response that the robot had to pick up lasagna and tomato, 2 items. And these 2 items, as I can see, were being picked up at different locations, which I can tell from this heat map. Evidently, I go to my conclusion that we are not being too clever about how we organize our stock of items, because it's highly probable that people who order lasagna will be also ordering tomato. So I will go back now to Slack and will tell my boss about what I found. A moment. So I will tell my boss what I found. When we created Copilot, we focused really on this aspect of the interactivity, because everybody looking for an insight, a business insight or a problem, will most times be interacting with colleagues and trying to find out, investigate, and find out together what's really going on. And there, my boss double checked what I told him, and we're good. We got to the conclusion of this experience that I wanted to show you about using Copilot to get to a business insight, asking questions that would otherwise have taken a really long amount of time, because to get through dashboards, or if you want to export the information produced from robots and analyze it outside of a platform in something like Tableau, it would be a very highly time-consuming task, because the information produced by robots generally ends up in different databases. It can be like in time series databases, in data lakes, in all kinds of places. And even if you are an engineer, it would be a non-trivial task to go through queries like these to get to the bottom of the problem you're trying to solve.
So I think, let me jump in for a sec. There's a little bit of there's background noise on your end. So.
Sorry.
So, John, I want to bring you out of your pointy-haired boss role, and I know as someone responsible for operating hundreds of robots in the past, I want to get your perspective on the experience that you had at the time, and how you see something like Copilot could have helped.
Sure, that's a great question. One of the challenging things with operating robots is they produce a tremendous amount of data. So being able to get to that data and extract the insights from it can be quite difficult, even though that's really it's critical to be able to do so in order to identify operational challenges like those where we just saw, where there's nothing wrong with the robot. The robot's doing exactly what it's told to do, but the operational aspect of it isn't planned effectively. And so to be able to equip non-technical teams through natural language to explore the operational aspect of robots, where they go, how long they spend there, much time they spend there, why they're doing that, without having to siphon away engineering resources and data engineering resources, or submit requests to an analyst team that circles back a week later. To be able to do these things live with your team who's focused on what is actually going on in the facility is extremely powerful.
Yeah, and I think in the scenario, I think Catherine, as the director of operations at BrickMart, she probably spends a lot of her time on InOrbit and staring at the dashboards, but somebody on the business side, like the role you were playing just now, doesn't necessarily. So Ram, maybe this one is for you. How do you bring someone from the robotics side and from the operations side together through Copilot?
Yes, as I mentioned before, I think we are targeting a myriad of roles inside the companies that own robots. We believe that Copilot can be useful for a director of operations or anyone that has business questions, anyone that has to actually solve incidents in a specific moment, and even engineers have asked us, because even if engineers who are not precisely acquainted with the data structures produced by robots can have a hard time going through the data, running tests, comparing, benchmarking how robots are performing with some version of the software compared to another version of the software. So even engineers find it useful. So I think we found a great number of different roles of people, end users and robot developers who can benefit from having a platform that understands natural language. You don't have to have any technical knowledge, and you get your questions answered about your robot fleet.
Yeah, Ramiro, you bring up a great point there that I just want to highlight. One of the powerful aspects of RobOps Copilot is that it puts data analysis and exploration into the hands of your engineering teams, even where they're collaborating with one another. So rather than having to leave the context of a conversation where maybe a problem is being explored or data is being discussed, those conversations can happen collaboratively with the data there as part of the conversation itself, whether that's in Slack or some other collaboration tool. So even for your engineering teams that are interested in data and use that data to help prioritize their work perhaps, or to identify the underlying cause of a problem, it can be extremely beneficial to be able to explore that data and access it without having to leave context, where we know that is has such a high impact on engineering teams in particular.
So what else is can you do with Copilot?
I don't know. For now, you can ask it questions of all sorts. Telemetry data. You can ask anything about even incidents. As I said, AI thrives on the volume of data. So you can ask about not only about missions and robots, but even the actions taken by humans to solve an incident. You can ask complex statistical questions, separate missions in quartiles and medians, and get statistical results. All of that in the context, I think, of a simple conversation.
And I think a lot of us who have played around with some of the latest chatbots and other things, we've heard of the term hallucinations, where it makes up stuff. What are we doing to prevent being led by the responses?
Well, first, RobOps Copilot is not an LLM like ChatGPT purely. It's if people here, I assume everyone has used ChatGPT or equivalents. These AI tools are what's called large language models, and they probabilistically produce an answer to your questions. It's the words that are most probably the next ones. What we use here is what in AI is called RAG, in general. It's an application that will produce answers based on information from a database. It's not a probabilistic word after the next. It's augmented generation. Sorry. So it's a different application. The information actually comes from databases. It's not probabilistically generated.
I think still that's the hook here. I think we're out of time. I could keep talking about this for a while.
I know we'd love to keep talking about this. Of course, we'd really welcome anyone who has questions about specifics around RobOps Copilot or any of the work that we do. Of course, reach out. But we just want to be mindful of everyone's time today. I know we're still mid-conversation, but we could keep going. We're happy. We want to keep talking about this. But in an effort to be mindful of everyone's time, I just want to say we're going to have to wrap up now. I'm sorry. Feel free to reach out. Let us know if you have any questions, or if you have any questions, or if we can help you. You can learn more at InOrbit.ai/RobOps Copilot, and reach out to us at team@InOrbit.ai. But I think with that, we really are out of time. So I will thank everyone for joining us today. Sorry we went a minute or too long. Thank you to Florian, Ramiro, John. That was really informative and a fantastic demo. We really appreciate it, everyone. Okay, with that, we'll sign off. Thanks so much. Bye, everyone.